going on, everybody? It's Aurora coming at you with a brand new video, and last night we got reveals for a bunch of pretty cool stuff coming out of Legacy of Destruction via a Konami live stream, or maybe was it a Shonen Jump live stream, or was it I think it was Jump Festa, there we go. I don't know, I was like dead asleep and or not paying attention to it at the time that it happened. I'm pretty sure I was asleep though. But the TLDR is that we got a lot of really cool stuff revealed, and that includes waves of Ancient Gear and a Lightsworn support of all decks. I knew Ancient Gear was coming because everyone was talking about it, and it was like kind of leaked, because we get kind of some stuff leaked in like data mine before it actually like gets the reveals, which is pretty cool. So I'm really excited for that, but I'm very interested about the Lightsworn stuff because I saw a bunch of people saying it was really good over on Twitter. So I'm not going to be covering both in one video. They are going to be separate videos. This is going to be the first one, and I'll probably upload the other one at the same time so that there's not like a time disparity or anything. So if you haven't checked out the Lightsworn video, then check it out as well. But I'm going to be covering the Ancient Gears in this video because I'm really excited for the Ancient Gears of all things. I really think this deck is super cool, and I'm sorry that I sound really weird and like Squidwardy because I'm really congested. I'm still recovering from a really bad like head cold, or it was like allergies or something, but I don't know. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into this Ancient Gear support. Starting off, we have Ancient Gear Dark Golem, which surprisingly isn't a dark monster. It is a level 8 Earth machine with 3000 attack and defense, and you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. This card's name becomes Ancient Gear Golem while on the field or in the graveyard. On summon, you can activate this effect. You cannot set cards for the rest of the turn. Also add up to 2 Ancient Gear cards and or Gear Town from your deck to your hand except Dark Golem, then discard 1 card. And if this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps until the end of the damage step. I mean, shockingly enough, it's a better Ancient Gear Golem retrain than Ultimate Pound was. I was actually really worried because I was like, oh god, it's just another really bad retrain, but this actually seems pretty solid. I mean, it does give you that like anti-set restriction that Wyvern does, which usually isn't a really bad thing for you. But you get to add up to 2 Ancient Gear cards, or Gear Town, but like probably gonna already pop Gear Town to get this out. But 2 Ancient Gear cards could be huge, because that can be stuff like your Ancient Gear Fusion on top of whatever the new support actually entails. So you're probably gonna be summoning this a lot off of Gear Town or Fortress after you pop it with Catapult. And then you can go into things like Ballista, and you can just go for a really big punch during that turn. I think one of the big things about Ancient Gears is that they aren't very consistent at accessing Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, which is like their best OTK enabler, unless they open like Power Bond and all the materials or Overload Fusion, mainly just because Verte is gone, and Verte was like the only thing keeping this deck together at all. At least Sidra can play. But this is actually a shockingly good retrain of a card, considering that now you might not actually have to play Ancient Gear Golem. I don't know. Oh, apparently it's called Dark Golem because Kronos describes his deck as a Dark Ages themed deck. Must have been like a sub thing, like, because I never actually heard a fucking Crowler say anything like that. Our next monster is Ancient Gear Tanker, which is pretty funny. Isn't this just Engineer with Ancient Gear Tank equipped? What the fuck? So this is a level 4 Earth machine with 1300 attack and defense. You can only use each effect once per turn. On summon, you can special summon 1 Ancient Gear monster from your hand except Tanker, ignoring its summoning conditions. Or if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon it from your graveyard instead. And you can target 1 face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, for the rest of this turn, all monsters you control that are Ancient Gear Golem or mention it gain 600 attack. So this is a really good OTK enabler with the second effect because it is just a lingering effect for the whole turn. It also triggers things like Gear Town and Ancient Gear Fortress, and the first effect can summon the brand new Ancient Gear Golem retrain and other things such as Ancient Gear Wyvern, so you can get searches and get really good access to your Ancient Gear Ballista. Really good going second as well, what you want to do with the deck, because you can summon from grave as well. Actually really like this card. The final monster in the main deck is Ancient Gear Commander. It is a level 4 Earth machine with 500 attack and 2000 defense. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. It has 3. You can send 1 Ancient Gear Golem from your hand, deck, or face-up field to the graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon an Ancient Gear monster. Okay, so you do have to play at least 1 copy of the original Golem if you want to use this effect. If you normal or special an Ancient Gear Golem, you can special summon 1 Ancient Gear Golem from your hand or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, place 1 Ancient Gear Continuous Trap from your hand face up on your field. So this is a really interesting set of effects, because the first effect basically means that, like, you have to get like the original Ancient Gear Golem in your deck to actually get maximum value out of it. The on Golem summon effect is decent if you already have access to other Golems. but I mean, it's not like amazing, but the third effect is pretty interesting, because remember, you can't set cards, but they have an Ancient Gear trap card, and I think this wave is giving them another one. I think I peeped a glimpse of it. That is another continuous trap, so you can actually play those cards instead of having to just not use them because you can't set when you use your good effects. I think it's definitely an interesting way to basically not only get access to your trap cards, but also get extra bodies for Ballista, or even going for like a rank 4, like you can go for Gear Gigant X and stuff like that. The second effect, though, is probably going to be a bit situational, though, unless there's specific combos. Let me know if you can understand any combos in that sense, because I'm not seeing any right now. The spell in the hero support is Ancient Gear Advance. It is a continuous spell that says you can only activate one per turn, and you cannot set cards, the turn you activate it. When this card resolves, you can add one Ancient Gear spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except Ancient Gear Advance, and once per turn, you contribute one monster, draw one card, and if you do until the end of this turn, you can normal summon 5 or higher monsters that are Ancient Gear Golem or mention it without tributing. I like the first effect. I like that they have other ways to actually search their back row other than opening Wyvern exactly. The second effect, though, kinda isn't that amazing in my opinion, because you're probably already going to use your normal summon on something like a Wyvern to search this card so you can search your Ancient Gear Fusion and stuff like that. And the only other way to get additional normal summons really is the Ancient Gear Commander, which you don't really always want to start with, unless you like special summon him and then you get the additional normal summon. But even then, like, why would you use that normal summon on a card like Dark Golem when you can just use it on like anything else? Like, I don't know. Like, the draw one card is like, ooh, big deal, and it does put bodies in grave for stuff like Overload Fusion, but you don't really have a way to search Overload Fusion. I don't know, I really like the back row searching because you don't have to rely on Gear Frame and Wyvern and stuff to get your like Ancient Gear Fusion and stuff, but the second effect does definitely feel a little bit underwhelming. And finally, the new continuous trap to go alongside the Ancient Gear Reborn is Ancient Gear Duel, and sorry if the screen just flickered for you there. It is a continuous trap that says you can only use the second effect of its name once per turn. Monsters you control that are Ancient Gear Golem or mention it are unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effects. And if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon one fusion monster that mentions Ancient Gear Golem from your extra deck by banishing materials mentioned on it from your field and or graveyard, including Golem you control, and if you do, it can make up to 3 attacks during each battle phase. This seems like a decent card overall, but my biggest thing is like, it has to use a Golem you control. Like, you can't use one in grave or something like that, which would have made it amazing, but you gotta use one that you control, meaning that it's a lot more difficult to pull off alongside an Ancient Gear Fusion, which it feels like it wants you to use in the same turn. Like, now that they have Dark Golem, it should be really easy to swarm the field with Golems and search for stuff, but like, it's not the easiest thing to do, like, even with that, because they are still very big monsters that you have to special summon. And you really want to get it on board twice then, because you have to use it for Ancient Gear Fusion and use it for the Ancient Gear Duel second effect, which, to be fair, this is still pretty solid because it is basically Overload Fusion for the deck, but it also can't summon Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, so you're probably going to have to use the Ancient Gear Fusion to summon the Giant, and then use this to go into something like Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem or Ancient Gear Megaton Golem, because it does mention it in its text. Like, I think the effect is still really solid because it makes an Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem with 4,400 attack, by the way, attack 3 times, which is pretty damn huge, and it's not limited to monsters and stuff like that, and it makes it unaffected by monster effects, so that is going to be very good at OTKing. You just kind of got to be a little bit specific with it. Well, I mean, like I said, it's not the end of the world to swarm the field with golems, because you can go for Dark Golem, which can be special summon. But, like, it's still a bit annoying that you have to control it, but maybe it'd just be too strong, I don't know, because you are going to be dumping the commander to get this card instantly off of your Ancient Gear Fusion, usually. But shockingly enough, that's actually it for the Ancient Gear support. I thought they'd get a new Fusion or something like that, maybe even a new Link monster. But yeah, that is it for the Ancient Gears. What do I think about this support as an Ancient Gear player on the side? It's like one of the casual decks that I play for fun. I think the stuff is pretty solid. I mean, Dark Golem is a golem that you can special summon off of Gear Town and Fortress. It searches up to 2 Ancient Gear cards, period, which is insane. It does discard one, but that just gives you graveyard fodder. It has the third effect, which no one really cares about, but Tanker is additional swarming on top of easier OTKs. Remember, this makes Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem go to 5,000 attack, which is pretty damn huge. Pops things like your Fortress and your Gear Town to summon from a deck off of Gear Town or hand or graveyard from Fortress. Ancient Gear Commander is a bit of an interesting one, but I really like his third effect because you can dump him off Ancient Gear Fusion to place the new Ancient Gear Duel or Reborn if you really want to. But Ancient Gear Advance is another way to search your Ancient Gear Fusion, or even other things like Ancient Gear Fortress, because remember, Ancient Gear Fortress is good not just to pop to someone from hand or grave, but also for its really, really good protection. And I mean, shit, if you really need to, this can actually search for Ancient Gear Catapult if you activate it before you do anything else, because this can just get popped by the Catapult to summon any Ancient Gear from your deck to get your plays going, including the Dark Golem. And then finally, Ancient Gear Duel, I think, is a pretty damn good card overall. It does kind of suck that you have to get Golem on board at least twice, but when it goes off, it's basically guaranteed that you're gonna get the OTK, and it's kind of like an in-archetype Overload fusion, but on crack, because it just makes Golem just attack a billion times. I don't think this will make Ancient Gears ever hit the meta contention or anything like that. I think they need a good solid new like Golem fusion or something to actually do that. But I think this actually makes it a very strong locals, maybe even regionals contender. I think that it's actually going to be a lot more consistent to actually get your plays going, and it makes the deck just a lot better going second, which I think is really appreciated. Though I do wish they kind of got like an end board piece or something, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as I'll split this video and the channel into incremented. And if this content was like it, like the rest of my review series, remember to also check out the Lightsworn one coming up at the same time. Then perhaps consider subscribing and turning on notifications, because it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. Also, you can support me directly while getting some awesome t-shirt and merchandise in the process. Check out Tapio cards in the link down below. Use code Aurora5 for 5% off your purchase at checkout and support me financially. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.